Welcome to the Rich Report, a podcast with news and information on high-performance computing. Today we have kind of a double presentation. We have folks from the Open Fabrics Alliance and the Infiniband Trade Association. Bill Lee and Rupert Dance, welcome to the show today.
Great to be on.
Well, thanks, guys. I guess, maybe we should start out at the beginning and kind of, let's start with IBTA. Who are you guys and who do you help?
Great, thanks. So this is Bill Lee, and first of all, to start with, the IBTA, the Infiniband Trade Association, is an organization dedicated to developing and maintaining the Infiniband specification. So we define the architecture from the RDMA software upwards, down through the layers into the physical layer, up to speeds of 56 gigabits per second. We also have a specification for RDMA over converged Ethernet called ROCKY. We're responsible for the compliance and interoperability of the commercial products that are designed to the specification. And we also do marketing and promotion of the Infiniband capabilities in the industry.
Well, sounds great. This is Rupert Dance, and I'm the chair of the Interoperability Working Groups for both the IBTA and the OFA, and I was just going to cover briefly the Open Fabrics Alliance. So the main mission of the OFA is to develop and test our open source software, which is called Open Fabric software. And this software delivers remote direct memory access to all of the performance demanding applications out there in the industry. So RDMA provides this direct memory access, and it provides direct access from the memory of one computer into that of another computer without involving either one of the operating systems on the two computers in effect. So the benefit of this is that it enables really efficient computing with the highest network bandwidth and the lowest end-to-end latencies in the networks. Our software provides support for most of the major Linux distributions and also in the new Microsoft Windows Server 2012 operating system. And a couple of other things that the OFA does is that yearly we have a developers conference where we invite all of our senior developers in the industry that get together. And we also have instituted a user conference now where we're inviting the end users, system admins, both experienced and inexperienced people, and where the purpose of these obviously is to exchange ideas and help further the industry. So Bill, you got a little more to go over on the HPC and data center side of things?
Right, so just to set the stage of why we're talking, both organizations, they see that in high-performance computing and in data centers, they really demand RDMA for the best return on the investment of the data center. As Rupert mentioned, RDMA stands for Remote Data Direct Memory Access, and it is a way of getting efficiently data from one server to another. We see that this is essential for the high-performance computing, scientific research, as well as enterprise and cloud computing. It gives the highest performance, efficient computing. OS bypass is what gives you the efficient application performance, and also allows you to achieve scalable storage for growing demands. With the application of RDMA, you get low latency data transfers and low CPU overhead, meaning that your servers can work more efficiently on the applications, high network utilization, efficient data transfer, everything that IT managers are telling us that they're looking for. On slide 5, this is the first piece of news that we wanted to let everyone know about. We recently released version 1.3 of Volume 2 of the Infiniband Architecture specification. This spec defines the physical, electrical, and link characteristics of Infiniband. The new release specifies improved speeds, now up to 56 gigabits per second for a typical server-to-server link, and 128 gigabits per second for aggregated links typically found between switches. This spec also lays the groundwork for the next generation of Infiniband called EDR, and that could be up to 100 gigabits per second to the server. The specification also improves testing methods for QDR and FDR speeds. And I just want to comment that these specifications are a collaborative effort. Member companies from all over the industry talk about these specifications, come to agreement on how best someone could use them to implement, and then finally vote on them for release. On slide 6, a word on interoperability. One of the things that the IBTA is definitely concentrating on is compliance. We want to make sure that people building to the spec are following all of the rules. It ensures the best functionality as well as interoperability between vendors. And likewise with the OFA, we do interoperability testing over all of the transports to make sure that the equipment works within the environment of the Open Fabric Alliance. Rupert, do you have any additional comments?
Thanks, Bill. Yeah, on the OFA side of things, maybe just a brief backup onto the IBTA. We really focus on compliance for the most part in the IBTA plugfests, and we do some interoperability testing of the products. For instance, the HCAs and the switches and cables, the interconnect, so we're testing that sort of interoperability. Whereas with the Open Fabrics Alliance program, what we're really doing is more testing of the upper layers, the upper layer protocols, the software stack itself, and validating that kind of thing. So with the OFA, our major goals are to validate our software, validate the ULPs, the upper layer protocols that are running, things like SDP, SRP, MPI, and then finally we're looking for vendor interoperability testing so that we make sure that all the different companies producing Infiniband, Rocky, iWarp products are all interoperable together. One last mention is that in the OFA program, we not only test Linux, but we test the Windows platform as well, so the OFA software that's included in Windows Server 2012. And we cover all the major Linux OSs, such as CentOS, Red Hat, SUSE, Ubuntu. It's quite a thorough program. So,
great.
Back to you, Bill.
Thanks. Slide 7, just to complete the discussion on the Infiniband specification. The IBTA has a roadmap continuously improving the speeds that transfers data between servers. Today, we're in full development and production of FDR, 56 gigabits per second for a typical server port. As I mentioned, EDR is on the roadmap, slated for production deployment in the 2014 timeframe, with HDR and NDR future speeds to be defined in future releases of the specification. So Rupert, can you give us an update on what's happening in the OFA?
Certainly. So here we're moving to slide 8, and we just wanted to briefly cover what we've been doing in the developer and the user side of things. I touched on this briefly, but basically we have an annual developer workshop that brings together all of the prominent RDMA developers, And the purpose is to exchange ideas and develop strategies for the future of our RDMA software environments. We support a couple of different reflectors, such as the Linux RDMA reflector and the OpenFabric's EWG reflector. And these reflectors allow developers to exchange ideas, solve problems and bugs and issues out there. So this year we instituted a new program where it is user-oriented, a whole separate set of conferences. And the idea was to bring together both experienced system admins and new users seeking to deploy RDMA-based clusters. And what this enables the new users to do is where we created a reflector for them. So there's a whole basis of frequently asked questions. When the new users are having trouble, they've got access to these experienced system admins. And I must say that the national labs have been very cooperative with this. People like Lawrence Livermore, Los Alamos, Argonne, different people like that have helped us to do this. So moving to slide 9, this goes into a little bit more detail on our first user conference that we had. And as I said, it was held at the Argonne National Lab in Chicago, outside of Chicago. And we had very good attendance. We had 40 people show up. And we had people that were developing applications. We had high-frequency trading people. We had lab people, system admins, a very wide variety. We had Dr. Russell from the University of New Hampshire, who gives a training course on RDMA. He was there as well. So it was a great event. People were very excited, and we look forward to continuing this momentum. So at the very bottom of that slide, you'll see that our next event is planned for Monterey, California. That'll be in April, just before the Developers Conference. And then we're also planning to have an international users workshop where we're going to try to target Europe and Asia and Africa and bring together people in that part of the world and provide the same kind of benefit. The next exciting thing to go over is on slide 10, which goes over the OFS distribution model. And the Open Fabrics Alliance made a decision based on the developer workshop to try to work more closely with the Linux kernel folks. And specifically, the goal was that they had asked us to make sure that we push all of our updates and latest development work into the kernel and move it all upstream. And the idea was that this is how the distros all put together their packages. They pull from kernel.org, and this way everybody is getting the same packages, the same information at the same time. So when Red Hat or Ubuntu or SUSE, when they're building this, they pull from the kernel, and because a lot of the big labs, for instance, they like to install. Let's say they use Red Hat. They want to get their RDMA software support through Red Hat, and that's what this mechanism now provides. Now, we're still supporting OFED. The OFA itself is still working with the developers, and that's still available to people if you want it. And what OFED provides for you is all the latest features and backports that we're working on. So if we've got, for instance, if we start working on EDR, that's where those bleeding edge development would go into OFED. And we also make sure that we provide backports for older kernels. So we expect people and we want people to pull their RDMA software from the distros themselves, and this would include Microsoft, and that's the benefit that we're hoping to get there. There's a couple of other quick things I wanted to touch on that the OFA provides. One of the most important things is that we, for the last couple of years now, have provided training. We've got a very well-received program that teaches people how to program directly to the verbs. A lot of people have recognized the importance of RDMA, but also know that It's different from sockets programming. So what we did is we created a program that outlines the similarities and the differences and how to incorporate them. We also, as we've touched on before, the OFA funds and supports interoperability testing to cover our software and the interoperability between devices. So I think that covers the major points on slide 10. On slide 11, another very exciting thing that's gone on is that we've been working, as I think you know, very closely with Microsoft for the last 3 or 4 years. We had OpenFabric software that was incorporated into an HPC version of Server 2008 R2. But as of September, Microsoft has announced that Windows Server 2012 has the OpenFabric software integrated right into the Windows kernel. As with Linux, some of the major benefits are that we get the kernel bypass, so there's zero copy, and that reduces latency and CPU cycle reduction as well. And one of the nice things that Microsoft has done is it's got support for all the transports. We support Infiniband, iWarp, and Rocky, so that we've got the Ethernet transport as well as the Infiniband transport covered in the Windows platform. Another part of their announcement is SMB 3.0, which is a native file-based storage protocol, so that gets built into the kernel. And again, this provides the high-speed, high-bandwidth storage and file sharing, and gives us all the support that we need in the big data centers and the like. So it's a very exciting announcement, and bodes well to have Microsoft so supportive of the RDMA technologies. So, Bill, I think you're up next on slide 12 with OFS and Ethernet, so I'll let you take it away.
Thanks. So, yeah, just a few words on what to do with all of this news and this technology. As I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of interest in scientific community, enterprise, cloud for utilizing RDMA. OFS, the OpenFabric software, and Ethernet enable RDMA over Ethernet utilizing either iWarp or Rocky to get very good performance for their applications. You can achieve bandwidth up to 40 gigabits per second today. Latencies at an application-to-application level less than 3 microseconds. The applications that are being accelerated with this technology, Hadoop, Memcached, databases, low-level messaging, virtualization. We have storage solutions with open storage, and as Rupert mentioned, Microsoft's SMB. And you can connect your data centers over long distance using WAN and internet links. Worldwide, this technology is being deployed in a variety of market spaces and applications. RDMA over Infiniband on slide 13 is very well used in high-performance computing. It delivers high performance, scalability, and efficiency. Here, bandwidth is available up to 56 gigabits per second. Latency is less than 1 microsecond, with very good scaling to tens of thousands of nodes. It is the interconnect of choice for the world's fastest supercomputing systems, being the top interconnect on the top 500. It enables also the highest efficiencies in the top 500, showing that by utilizing Infiniband and RDMA, you get the highest performance per watt. Users include scientific research labs, commercial HPC, and other enterprise entities. On slide 14, just a snapshot of what is achieved in the top 500 with OFS and Infiniband. This data comes from the June 2012 release. We haven't yet been able to digest the recently released top 500 list, but we will shortly, and within a week or so we'll have updated information on our website. But from the June release, we see 40% of the world's most powerful petaflop systems being powered by Infiniband and OFS. Almost all of the most efficient systems, as I mentioned earlier, which is the chart on the top. You can see the blue lines. Those are the ones that represent Infiniband clusters. We also have the highest system utilization, the chart on the lower right. The dark blue dots, those are Infiniband-powered systems. And the y-axis is efficiency. So higher is better, and you can see that there's a very good congregation of blue at the top of the chart. Infiniband also accelerates most of the accelerator-based systems. These are the systems that are using GPUs to work on the heaviest computations. So to conclude, both of these organizations welcome the members, and Rich, I'd like to invite your audience to check out the websites. Perhaps there's a benefit here that will help a company further their goals, whether it's part of the Infiniband Trade Association and working on the spec there, or in the Open Fabric Alliance and working on the software there.
Well, thanks for that, guys. You know, I always attend the Open Fabric workshops, and I'm too embarrassed to ask this question, but I'm curious about RDMA. I mean, if one CPU accesses another CPU's memory, how do you keep that coherent? Do you lock it away from the host CPU, or how is that done?
This is Rupert. So basically, there are protection mechanisms and isolation mechanisms in our API that allow you, it's all virtual memory, first of all. It's not physical memory. That's all handled by the adapters down below. So there's software mechanisms to make sure that you protect each one of those queue pairs, and that memory from one application cannot access memory from another. You, particularly in a connected mechanism, the two servers are connected through a queue pair, and data is exchanged between those and isolated between those.
I see. So, well, and I also wanted to ask about the roadmap. You know, we've got the two major providers of silicon, right? Mellanox and now Intel, which acquired the QLogic TrueScale. The QLogic skipped the FDR hop for various reasons, and I'm just wondering, is Intel, an active member of IBTA, and do you expect them to be on board with EDR when that time frame comes around?
Well, I can't talk about their roadmaps, but Intel is a very strong member in the Infiniband Trade Association, both in developing and defining the specification, as well as marketing, promoting Infiniband. So I expect them to continue that, both in their support of the specification as well as delivery of products.
And I would just add that Intel has, senior members on steering committees and of both the IBTA and of the OFA, so they're very committed. And Intel, as you know, has iWarp as well as Infiniband products in this RDMA market space. So they're very committed to the RDMA space and open fabric software.
All terrific. That helps. So the other development recently was Cray's acquisition of System Fabric Works, or people from there. And having gone to the workshops, guys, it seemed like System Fabric Works was really the core folks that help make sure this stuff all works out there at the labs and beyond, right? So I was just wondering if you could comment. I think they're going to continue, but I just wonder if you know anything about that.
Right. Well, the people involved, we know them all very well, and Cray has recently joined as a steering committee member of the IBTA. So the people that were the core staff of System Fabric Works, as you mentioned, are still going to be very much involved with the IBTA and the OFA. And System Fabric Works continues as a company. They've got a slightly different focus. They're very much engaged in EDC and cloud, and I think you'll find that they're still a significant player.
Well, terrific. So I'm sure you guys got big plans for SC12, but I'm wondering what you can share with us and the audience about what they could look for out there on the show floor and beyond for these organizations.
Yes, so the IBTA and the OFA have a shared booth. There are literature, information about the organizations, about training that is offered through the organizations. We have experts lined up on different topics that people can come by and have discussions with. These are open discussions, not a presentation where the information just comes one way, but very much a two-way conversation. The schedules are posted on both the Open Fabric Alliance and the Infiniband Trade Association websites. And of course, there are panels and discussions on topics of RDMA going on all week.
Well, terrific. Well, hey, gentlemen, Rupert and Bill, I want to thank you both for coming on the show today and bringing us up to speed.
Excellent.
You're welcome.
Very nice to get together, and look forward to seeing you at SC12.
Oh, it'll be great. Well, thanks again. Okay, folks, that's it for the Rich Report. Stay tuned for more news and information on high-performance computing.